other people may have their IP and it just lives inside their brain.
I'm not the type of guy who wants to bug you. I want to talk to the people who are looking for me. That's who I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to everybody because everybody is not for Curtis. I have a unique offering. I'm looking for people who are looking for me.
So that is basically the fundamental principle is, first of all, we absolutely must sell something that people actually want to buy.
And as a coach, if I don't follow my own advice, that's not being authentic to who I am. You know, it's like for right now, this past year, I hired a fitness coach. Why? Because I wanted to be fit. I want to have energy. I want to have passion. I want to be able to show up for my clients.
And I am the first person to say that strategy and tactics is absolutely pointless unless Curtis has removed your blocks.
Wow.
Everything is up here.
Hi, this is Curtis McCullom with the Curtis McCullom Show, where we dive into the mindset of top CEOs and entrepreneurs around the world, where they share their ideas, what made them become successful, how they became the best version of themselves. You know, Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs and founders and entrepreneurs kind of eliminate those blind spots, those things that kind of been dragging around since childhood, those blocks that have been keeping them from reaching their full potential. So if you feel like you're stuck or like something is just holding you back, don't wait. Please schedule a free clarity call with me today using the link below. Let's uncover what's really standing in your way so we can get you moving forward. And if you're liking the show and enjoying it, please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review below. Your support helps us reach more people who are ready to transform their lives. You know, today I have in studio with me, Maeve Ferguson. I'm telling you, she is a powerhouse. I mean, really, what she does, guys, she helps experts move from being an expert to what they do, to being seen, which becomes the answer, then become an authority, then finally the one, or risking being the best kept secret. Or, you know, like this. This is interesting because I'm really want to have this conversation with her because this kind of where I am, right in the middle. Like, okay, how can I become the authority? How can I become the one? Because I feel right now I am the best kept secret. So this is for me, guys. You can listen in if you choose to, but I'm talking to Maeve for me. This is my masterclass with her today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Curtis. Thank you for that really lovely introduction. And I am so excited to dive in and really unpack some really high-level conversations today.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciate it. I'm really serious because, you know, once we got on the call this morning, I'm like, oh, you says, how you doing today, Curtis? I said, you know, I'm okay. It's like I'm doing something. And then when I was preparing for a show, I'm like, oh my God, the universe has spoken. It's like, wow, just so happened wherever I am in my journey, here you come in my life. So this is not by chance. This definitely something that I feel like we were meant to be right here, right now, today. So definitely, I appreciate you kind of getting off of a long haul from the United States back home and now being with me this morning, who you are right now.
Yeah, so I think like a lot of us entrepreneurs, we all have something that happened or a big reason that pivoted us out of being what I call an air quote, a normal person, living a normal life into this absolutely insane world of entrepreneurship. And I had a very, I almost feel like I've had 3 chapters of my life. So I had a whole chapter of my life where I did my undergraduate degree in equine science. I was a steeplechase jockey. I still live in a horse farm, but I had a whole chapter of my life traveling the world in working with horses. Then I moved in from that, very strangely, moved into Big Four. So I worked for Ernst & Young. I became an accountant, worked in the financial services industry in London for many, many years, and then actually moved into the private equity industry, managing teams of up to 50 people, like kind of running global jurisdictions, all of that kind of thing. And then a really, really long story, cut short. I will not go into it in depth, but a really long story cut short. I caught a virus. And at this stage, my career was absolutely flying. I was winning like 25-kilometer races, training 6-7 days a week. And I caught a virus and I ended up spending the next 4 years in bed. And it's like one of those things that has happened to a lot of entrepreneurs where you almost get the gift of that wake-up call. That's more to life than this. I
Yeah.
was very, very kind of career driven. And I will always say till the day I die, catching that virus was the best thing that ever happened to me
Mhm.
because it forced me to stop. It forced me to really kind of assess. And, whenever you need a wheelchair to get out of your bed to go to the bathroom, it really does something to your soul. And it takes you to the absolute depths of your resilience. And what I discovered, thankfully, when I recovered, was that I didn't actually want to keep climbing the corporate ladder. I wanted to have kids. I wanted to do my own thing. I took the really scary decision to leap off, retrained as an executive coach, which seemed like a fairly logical move based on my background and the level that I was in corporate. And I jumped into that and really, really quickly discovered that I was actually very good at the back end technical systems and
Right.
funnels, automations, and the thing that most experts actually hate. So very quickly, I was able to pivot into that. Then over the last few years, I've been really moving into quiz funnels and thought leadership diagnostics. So if you've ever been through Myers-Briggs or
Right.
Enneagram, things like that, I am the person that builds those types of assessments.
Wow. Wow. I mean, what a story. I want to kind of go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Number one, about when you were down, right? A lot of people think that's a setback. Sometimes things like that become what I call a set up, you
Exactly.
know, because of the fact that, like you said, you would have never stopped any other way. And once you did, it gave you an opportunity now to kind of reassess your life and says, okay, who do I want to be
Mm.
versus what am I doing? Who
Yes.
do I want to become
Mhm.
versus what I'm having? And I think that's a huge, huge opportunity for you. And you took it and you kind of jumped in with both feet. And now
Mhm.
you become a very, very successful at what you do. So now you have kids, right?
Yeah, I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So I am in that crazy, crazy chapter. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of noise and a lot of chaos.
Wow, wow, wow. So here we are. So and now you're managing your family. You're still managing a very successful business. And
Hmm.
like I said, you just got off the plane because you had a really busy week there. So
Hmm.
so here I am. I'm an expert. I'm an entrepreneur, and I find myself in this sea of individuals. Right. I mean this crazy world. Back in Mississippi, I was born and raised in Mississippi, and so we would use a colloquium like everybody and their mama is a coach. So
Yes,
so
yes.
now so now how do you stand out from that? I know you in part of your thing you says, okay, I'm an expert in what I do, right? So now
Hmm.
how do I become the authority or the one so that I'm not a best kept secret?
Yeah, so I absolutely love that. And I think where we want to begin with this conversation is that every single one of us have intellectual property. So what we
Okay.
call IP. Okay. Now, some people like your IP is already formalized. So I've seen it on your site. Other people may have their IP and it just lives inside their brain. And what ends up happening, the expert whose IP is just inside of their brain, is that they have to almost re explain themselves every single time. And even to move the needle a tiny bit inside of their business, they have to be completely present all of the time. And if they show up, things improve. And if they stop showing up, then things tend to really, really slow down. And this intellectual property is inside of each of us. And those who are struggling to be seen as the answer, the main reason for that is that they sound exactly the same as everybody else. Okay, so it's like yet another life coach or
Yeah.
another confidence coach or whatever it may be. And what makes those who, if you look at those niches, okay, there are people who are to the absolute like height of their game. They're speaking on stages to 1,000 people, and they are literally helping people with the same thing that so many struggling experts are helping them with. And
Right.
the main reason for that difference is this intellectual property and almost codifying that into an asset that brings really hyper qualified leads into their business every single day. Because when you have that asset, what ends up happening, it does like 90% of the legwork for you. It positions you completely differently to others in your space who have, generic language,
Right.
talk about transforming your life and things like that. We got to show our intellectual brand how what we do is different to the sea of noise that is out there.
Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs get rid of those blind spots that they've been carrying around since childhood. So if you're stuck and have some blocks, click the link below for your clarity call or scan the QR code if you're on video. Let's get rid of those blinds. Now back to the interview. Yeah, and that's kind of where I guess that's where the difficult part comes in for most entrepreneurs is that, well, this is the thing. One of the challenges that we have, I'm saying we, me included, is that everybody is always trying to get into our pockets. Everybody has the answer for us. And so I think somebody said they keep shitting on us, like you should do this, you shouldn't do that, you should do that. And then we keep chasing this thing. But I remember I was on a podcast with Bill Hopper, his name. Bill was an advertising expert. And I said, Bill, man, I'm struggling with who I am, how I explain to it. How I explain individuals. My little story, what I do. I was using the same thing you said. I'm a transformation. I'm not that. I'm not a transformation coach. I'm not a life coach. I'm not that. I'm more than that. And then he says, you basically, in my opening, you have CEOs and entrepreneurs with their blind spots that have been dragging around since childhood. Then he says, it's like you have the wheel and it's going blah, 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 blah. You help them kind of smooth out that wheel. So he gave me this messaging that now resonates with me. Okay, that's what I do. I help individuals with this thing. But the problem we have is everybody be telling us what to do, so we don't know what direction to go in. And we spend thousands of dollars to try to figure this out. And what do we do? That's kind of one of the challenges that we have.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I love that. And it's very, very true. I've seen a lot. And just for context, I have spent over $300,000 in my own kind of education and getting to where I have gotten to in this online space, and I have kissed a lot of frogs. Okay, I have been in some programs that have been absolutely incredible, some really high ticket stuff that was nothing more than average. But overall, I really do understand the plight of people who are listen to the next guru and the next guru and the next guru. And what this comes down to for me is the difference between shiny tactics and fundamental principles. And when we think about fundamental principles, those are completely timeless. Those things will never change. The main one of that and the power of the quiz funnel here is business is so easy when we are selling something that people want to buy. Okay. They say, I am not very good at sales, but I have an over 80% close rate in my sales conversations because they're pre-sold before they get to me. They already know they want it, and it just becomes a how and a when conversation. So how does it work? When can I get booked in with you and your team? Okay, so that is basically the fundamental principle is, first of all, we absolutely must sell something that people actually want to buy, not what we think they should want to buy and not what we know they need, but they don't actually want. And so the best way to do that is when you think about a quiz funnel, a thought leadership diagnostic, what that actually does is hook somebody in at the very top of your funnel. Okay. And the question that we ask them, and we can maybe have a little bit of fun later in the interview, actually creating this for your methodology. We hook them in with a question that they simply have to know the answer to. And when we're building these diagnostic assessments, always begin with the end in mind. So where are we sending people after they finish the quiz or assessment? Okay. So first things first, what are we actually selling? Then what we got to do is reverse out of that. And we want to think about what are the key categories of our framework, of our proprietary IP that we have created, where the scores of those categories are the answer to people's problems. Okay, so what I mean by that is if we think about what are the main struggles that your people tell you over and over again that they have, all of the amazing clients where you have completely transformed their lives. What were those, and I don't mean all of the wish I could work with you type people, I mean your absolute 5-star clients. What were they struggling with whenever they came to work with you? What is the transformation that you gave them? And then those struggles, you can consider bucketing those up you got to make sure then that it aligns with your IP. Okay. So really think about what's your intellectual property, what is your process, and which of those big pains does that actually solve? Okay. Because what I see most people do in here, and we'll get into the how to build your own quiz funnel more in a moment. But what I see a lot of people doing is spray and pray marketing.
Yes.
To goodness, something sticks. They get a lead into a really bad lead magnet that's probably some form of PDF, and then they get sent this in email, it goes to spam, never to be seen of again. And then what they do is they email their list, and they're like, I'm consistent, I email my list. They tick those boxes, but what they're doing, not only are they doing spray and pray marketing at top of funnel, they're also doing spray and pray marketing to their list. Because there's no hyper-segmentation there. They are sending the same email to everybody on their list. Whereas when you think of a diagnostic assessment or a diagnostic quiz funnel that literally ascertains your people's biggest struggle, what you then can do is this segmented follow-up where the message that you see is going to be different to the message to the next person, to the next person, to the next person, because it is actually based on you. And, I love that you mentioned bespoke earlier. It's actually bespoke to the person. And what you can also do then is actually make, even though it's the same offer, you can position the same offer slightly differently in front of each of these segments of your audience. Because if my biggest problem is apples, and I land on a page that is talking about oranges, I'm gone. But if my problem is apples and I'm talking about apples, now I'm getting further down your funnel and on to the next step.
Wow. And that's interesting you would say that because of the fact that I get a lot of emails every day, right? And some of the emails that I get from these spray and praying type guys is uh, they might mention where I'm an expert in. They're trying to sell me on what I do. That means that I'm not in your funnel. I shouldn't even be on your email list. And why in the hell are you continuing to email me? Not one time, but every day I get these emails over and over and over again. And that's kind of what you're sharing with us is like, that's kind of spraying and praying. And I can't stand that. I mean, I'm like, that's not me, number one. I'm not the type of guy who wants to bug you. I want to talk to the people who are looking for me. That's who I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to everybody because everybody is not for Curtis. I have a unique offering. I'm looking for people who are looking for me and not just like, it just drives me crazy. And I'm like, it has to be a better way of marketing than just keep sending out hundreds and thousands of emails to people who don't give a damn about what you do.
Yeah, I love it. So this actually segues beautifully into a conversation that I was planning to have later, but let's go here now. And it is what I call this tiered lead segmentation. Okay. And we call them tier 1 leads, tier 2 leads, and tier 3 leads, because not all leads are created equal. Okay.
Right.
We love and adore everybody. But if you have a high ticket service, for example, and somebody is struggling to buy food, even though they're probably a really beautiful person, you have a better way to support them through your podcast, through your YouTube channel, whatever it may be. Okay. But what we want, again, what most people do is fire everybody onto the same list and scream the same message at the tier 3 lead as the tier 1 lead. And what you can actually do with these assessments, and I've been playing a lot with AI in recent months and building some really, really exciting things. But one of the things you can do is set the criteria that means somebody in your world is a tier 1 lead. So for me, for example, it's like if this, then that criteria. So if they meet criteria A on their email list and they meet criteria B as in their revenue generated per year and their score on my assessment is X, then tag them as tier 1 lead. And then my team then get a Slack notification to say, new tier 1 lead, here's their number, and we're able to jump on and have a conversation with them. Okay. We also do the same for tier 2 and tier 3. And the beauty of this is that it works just as well for people who are in a non-ROI niche. Okay. Or niche, sorry. I think I'm just going to have to start saying niche all the time. But basically, so somebody who has a non-ROI niche, it often feels to them that it's like, oh, that's easy for you folks. You help people make more money. You help grow your business. That's easy. Okay.
Yeah.
But Where this works really, really well for those in a non-ROI niche is that you can flick out the revenue per year question and you can ask a couple of the questions around the length of time they have been struggling with the problem. Okay, and this is something I learned from my mentor, Ryan Levesque. How long have they been struggling with their problem and how much have they spent trying to solve this problem? Okay, because again, the quality of that lead, if somebody has been struggling with this for a week and they've spent $0.00, they maybe have watched one YouTube video, their level of pain is entirely different to somebody who's already dropped 20K. As you said earlier, that pain of investing and investing and investing and what is going to work, and they've maybe been struggling with this for 6 years. That is somebody who's way more motivated to solve the problem. And again, you can tag that person as a tier 1 lead. And then the beauty of the diagnostic assessment is not only do we have the quality of the lead defined, we also have their exact problem that they have just told us that they have. They literally get their results and you're able to see on screen their biggest struggles, their biggest pain points. And then this is where most people drop off. But what you got to do here is make sure that you position your offer to speak to exactly the thing that they just said that they're struggling with. So we don't, you know the way some people on sales calls and you're on a conversation, you're thinking of seeing the program and they just tell you all the stuff they can do. And all they had to do was ask the question about the biggest struggle, discern what that is, and only pull out the piece of the program or the service or whatever it is that solves that specific problem. And what happens is these diagnostics actually give the business owner the power because you know their biggest struggle before they even get on the call. So you're able to frame the conversation. I'm able to pull up all of the data of every single one of my leads and their score across 9 different key areas, which means that I can point them bang in the direction of the person that is the right person to help them. And that's not always me. So inside of my assessment, for example, I partner up with people who, let's say somebody is really struggling with growing their audience on YouTube. I have Esatino who are my YouTube partners. I don't know the first thing about YouTube. So I'm able to send them there. And what we really, really do is truly understand the struggles of our people, and you might be the offer for all of the different struggles in there, or whenever it's a more kind of elaborate model, you can also JV off with other people.
Bespoke Human Potential Coaching sponsors this show. Bespoke helps CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs get rid of those blind spots that they've been carrying around since childhood. So if you're stuck and have some blocks, click the link below for your clarity call or scan the QR code if you're on video. Let's get rid of those blind spots. Now back to the interview. Wow, that's powerful. I mean, and that makes so much sense. I mean, because I've been in sales now for as long as you've been in the world, over 40 years, so probably longer than you've been in the world. And I understand that principle. It makes so much sense to me is that why will I try to sell to you on widgets and you've already said, and I can't stand that either. I go into a car dealership and says, this is what I want. I want a black car. I want this. I want that. I want a leather interior. And then they says, oh, well, look, we have all these cars. We have this white one. We got this gray one. We got this pink one.
I don't want a white one. I just told you I want a black one.
I already told you what I want. I already told you what I need. I already told you what my desires are. So what you're saying is that your funnels basically say, they tell you, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, and 5, and 6. So when I'm having that conversation with them, now I'm honing in on 1, 2, 5, and 6.
Of all else, and it's like, whenever you look at your IP, and we can turn that into an assessment in just a moment, but when you look at your IP, you have pillars, whatever you want to call them, inside your framework, your methodology, have pillars or phases or units or whatever you may call them, that when they struggle with X, boom, that's the answer. So I saw on your site, you do a lot of NLP. I'm a huge fan, okay? So where somebody has a block and it can be shifted permanently,
Yes.
With you through NLP, you can pull on that thread and only speak to the piece of your IP that solves that problem.
Wow. Wow. That, I mean, I'm guilty of that too then. I
Mm.
mean, going back to what you said, I'm guilty of how this concept is like, well, they need everything. They might need everything, but they don't want everything, right?
So yeah, so that is exactly it. So again, it's no CEOs are walking around saying, "Damn it, this week what's wrong with my business is my childhood things." They
Right.
don't know that that's actually the problem. They don't know. You know,
Right.
because you're the expert. You know all of the crap that they're carrying around with them.
Yes.
You're the person that can shift that, but you got to meet them where they're at. So if we are telling our people, it's a little bit like me. If I start to convince people that they should want a quiz funnel, and here's why you should get a quiz funnel or a diagnostic assessment, that's me trying to, I'm over here screaming at somebody saying,
Yeah.
listen to me,
Yeah.
instead of speaking about the symptoms. So if
Wow.
you've done at least 5K a month in Facebook ads, you're running your Facebook challenges and you're getting loads and loads of cheers and claps, but not the conversions that you know you deserve, you probably have unqualified leads. Here's what that means. Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Okay, so when we speak to those symptoms, as opposed to us telling people what we know is actually wrong, but they don't use that language.
Wow. Wow. So I guess the question that's coming up for me right now is, okay, now how do you actually discover that language? I mean, because like you said before, what I do know is that everybody who comes into my office, right? And
Mhm.
this is my world, is different. That's why I call myself bespoke human
Yep.
potential coaching, because I
I love that.
know that I have a framework in which I work, but within that framework, I can grab something over here off this shelf that client would never need. I'm
Mhm.
working with a client now that's totally different than most of my clients that I've experienced, because they are carrying different type of baggage that I've not really seen. So I
Mhm.
can't do the same things I've always done
Yep.
for them. I'm
Mhm.
having to now kind of peel the layer. We peel off one layer. We thought, oh, that's the baggage. No, then something else pops up. That's the bag. So basically now I'm having to utilize different ways of actually reaching that client. So the question I have for you is then, how do you do that? It's like, I guess I'm so geared of like, okay, everybody needs a breakthrough.
Mhm.
That's my belief, but that could be wrong. Or everybody does need a breakthrough, but I can't tell everybody they need a breakthrough because they'll never get there. Right?
Mhm. Yeah. So again, it's back to symptom-based marketing, and this is where you'll differentiate yourself from all of the chat GPTers. Much
Yeah.
as I adore AI, but here's your struggle with a long dash, and you're like,
Yeah.
yep, chat GPT kept up with that one. So what you're going to do instead, and this is why they call me the quiz funnel queen, you're actually going to use a quiz funnel. Okay, now it's only a one-question quiz,
Mhm.
but whatever somebody opts in. Now, if you don't have the software, to your listeners, it doesn't matter. You can do it manually. But what you want to do is 6 hours after somebody opts in, you want to send them a message to say, and, make it funny if you wish, whatever it may be, but basically to say, just sent your personalized report, because that's what they get after they
Right.
take the quiz. They get a personalized report. Hit reply and let me know if you got it okay. And whilst you're there, and whilst you do that, take a moment and let me know in your own words what is your single biggest challenge. Okay, so
Mm.
that's the manual way to do it. And the automated way to do it is to have a one question quiz funnel, okay, where they reply to this day and daily. You've all of your leads coming through every day. Not everybody answers it, of course, but a proportion of those people literally tell you in their language what their biggest struggle is in their words. We get a notification, again, an automation set up to send us a notification to say that there's a new response. And what we do with that then is we are building every single day the pulse of our market. Because what people are struggling with today is entirely different to what it was 6 months ago. It is entirely different to what it was 3 years ago. So that really allows us to keep a pulse on the market. And then what we do is we play all of that back in our top of funnel messaging and marketing. So over and over again, people are saying, here's my biggest struggle.
Right.
And we're able to do is speak to that, which attracts even more people because other people are also struggling with that thing right now. And it's the timeliness of that activity that is so powerful.
That is powerful. Wow. Wow. I mean, I'm like, I want to keep you on forever and talk to you forever.
I've
But I
got
mean,
time.
I
Go
mean,
for it.
it's like because of the fact that you're speaking my language, because of the fact that you remember right before we got on the air, you says, "Hey, Curtis, what's going on?" I'm like, well, oh my God. It's like, it's like when people sometimes ask you what's going on, it's like, do you really want to know, or you just being nice or
Well,
not?
I always really want to know, and I think there's a lot of people who are real experts in the space, so really brilliant at what they do, and
Right.
they're not okay right now. I'm just back off a big trip to New York, and some really 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 superb people. Everybody's noticed the shift in the market, and I think that's again where this asset. I think of it as an asset inside of your business,
Right.
having that asset inside of your business working for you, not relying on launches anymore, or, oh my God, I better run a webinar, I need some cash
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what most people, they're doing what I call like reactive marketing. They're having a heart attack. Crap, I better do something. Then they
Right.
do something. Then if it doesn't go to all their eggs are in one basket, they start panicking. And you know all about energy.
Yes.
When your energy is off, there ain't nobody coming to that.
No, no. Basically, it's almost because what happens is over time, like what I used to do in financial services, that if I was in need of a sale, there would be a dollar sign kind of imprinted on my
Please pay me.
forehead,
I'm
and the
desperate.
people can see the stress in my face because I need to make rent, and it's like I need to make car payment, and so I'm like trying to sell the hell out of them because of the fact that they see that and sense that and feel that instead of
Yeah,
having this flow of energy saying
yeah,
like,
exactly.
"Hey, I'm available for you. What is it what you need from me?" Versus I'm trying to sell you what I need for you to have right now to make the sale, which is totally different energy. Absolutely. Wow.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Wow. So how can individuals get in touch with you?
So the best way is through our impact score assessment. So
Okay.
if you want to discover what your impact on this world is as an emerging thought leader, that assessment it's not like a quick quiz, it's an actual in-depth diagnostic where you will get your bespoke results across 9 different areas that this industry requires you to have and to have operating to be truly seen as that thought leader. So you'll get a score on your offer, leads, and sales, team, system, and process, your ecosystem, your
Right.
diagnostic ability, and your leverage. And when you go through that, you'll get a personalized follow-up report that really, like, it's not one of these gimmicky things. There's a 74-page report full of insights, full of here's what you got to do. Because again, not everybody's able to work with me, and that's okay. But I'm
Right.
giving you the blueprint. If you can't come and work with us, grand, go and follow this blueprint.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now that assessment, is they pay for that assessment or that's
Nope.
basically just part of their system?
That is
Well,
that is so go to impactscoreassessment.
where basically you will see my name on your impact score. Truly. I
Very good.
mean, because of the fact that, well, if I'm here telling other people to do stuff, right? And as a coach, if I don't follow my own advice, that's not being authentic to who I am.
It's
It's
true.
like for right now, this past year, I hired a fitness coach. Why? Because I wanted to be fit. I want to have energy. I want to have passion. I want to be able to show up for my clients. But to me, this is Curtis. Now, if I'm showing up and I'm overweight, out of breath, telling you to become the best version of yourself, and I'm not even close to becoming the best version of myself, to me, that's not authentic. That's
Yeah.
just me. That's Curtis 101. Take it,
I
leave it, throw it
love
in the
that.
trash. And then at the same time, I'm like, okay, I had a personal blind spot. I didn't even know the programming was running. It was
Mhm.
like it was running that I didn't even know. I'm like, why is it that I'm helping other individuals make these huge transformations, but there's something blocking me? So I
Mhm.
call in one of my experts and says, hey, dude, give me this, give me mental and emotional release is one of the sciences that I have. And within 10 minutes, we figured it out. 10 minutes, guys, 10 minutes, they figured it out. It was something that happened to me when I was 2, that I made a decision. I decided that success is hard and difficult, but I would have never figured that out because of the fact that it was a freaking blind spot. So I take my own medicine.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing for all of the amazing listeners that you have. When they work with you, the shifts that they are going to get, the breakthroughs that they're going to get, but like with anything in this world, they got to take the first step, book that call with you, truly see the power of what is waiting for them on the other side. And then, as you say, just like this, the block is shifted and then you soar.
Wow. Wow. I love it. Maeve, thank you for more than what you can You will never know that I truly feel like the universe brought us together today for purpose. That's because this is where I am in my journey. It's like, okay, now
Mhm.
how can I be the authority? How can I be the one and
Yeah.
stop being the best kept secret? And basically, I have to take this. Now it's on me, right? It's on me to take the first step to get the assessment, and we can decide what next steps might be or not. But that's okay. But I have to take a step, and I appreciate that for you. Guys, please, I'm taking the step. You should take the step too. Go out and get the assessment, see what's happening and see where you are in your business. The worst thing that can happen is that you learn something. Wow. I think that's part of my framework, learning, growing, expanding, and transforming, what I call a legit mindset. So there you
Yeah.
go.
Love it. I love it. Brilliant. And yes, it's been so great being on. I love having these conversations with people who are true experts, because there's a lot of people on the internet are not actually that good at what they do. And when you meet somebody who actually has gold to bring to this world, I'm the type of person I will just shout about it from the absolute rooftops.
I love it. I mean, that's the truth. And that's what I'll leave us with, that is that, and that's kind of what's so frustrating is that, I've studied this stuff for years and years and years, and I practiced this stuff for years and years and years. I just didn't show up one day and says, fall off a turnip truck and says, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be a life coach or a transformation coach." Is that no? I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirts and got more all of the stuff. But what difference does it make, guys? What difference does it make if I'm not seen? If I'm not the authority, it doesn't make any difference. I'm a nice office, nice lights. It doesn't make. It doesn't. Nobody cares. No one
Nice.
cares unless you figure out what they need, and not what I want them to have. Once again,
100%.
Maeve, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, yes. Guys, if today's shows kind of resonate with you and you're ready for a breakthrough, or you just need to figure out where you are in your business, talk to her. Call Maeve and says, "Hey, this is where I am. Well, let me take that assessment." And then if you now realize, hey, there is a blind spot, there's something that I can help you with, please, and what's something holding you back, please schedule that call with me. And I can't wait to take the assessment myself to kind of figure out now how to really realign my business so that I can better serve you. Because if you don't know what you don't know, then you can even, that's one of the challenges that most people have. They don't even know that they don't know, but they do know that something is not quite right within. And the assessments basically help them bring that out without me dragging it through them. They come out for themselves and says, hey, now they're raising their hands, says, Curtis, I need your help. I get that. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And can I just plus one that before they wrap? We build quiz funnels and thought leadership diagnostics for a living. And I am the first person to say that strategy and tactics is absolutely pointless unless Curtis has removed your blocks. Because
Wow.
everything is up here.
It's all
Every
there. It's all with the mindset, man. I'm telling you. Like I said, we can go on and on, but I gotta go. We
Yes,
can
I
go
know.
on
Yes,
and
you've got
yeah.
another call.
So basically, guys, if you like this show, please like, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and subscribe to the show. My name is Curtis McCullum. Make it a great day.
Thank you.